From an exhilarating and very engaging session on OT technology, we would like to bring back your focus on IT technology. And, so who amongst you knows what Kyndryl is? Any show of hands? Not the Kyndryls, of course. Anyone? We guess so. Okay, so just to give you a context, Kyndryl was born in September of 2021. It was actually rechristened into Kyndryl. We were earlier the infrastructure technology services organization within IBM. We got divested in September of 21, and by November 21, we are operating as an independent organization. We are about $19 billion in revenue across the globe, operating in 190 countries. As I said, our core businesses is around IT, and what we do is we design, build, manage, and modernize the mission-critical technology elements that drive the world. And when I say drive, the world depends on every day. I mean both from a consumption standpoint as well as all your systems, backend systems, which touch your lives in one form or the other. So this, Kyndryl is uniquely placed in the whole ecosystem of partners that you see today. Most importantly, we are the only organization present today in this conclave who can claim to be a partner of all other presenting partners that you have. So we are a technology services organization who partners with principal OEMs to provide you with services across our asset categories, and those 6 asset categories is what you see on the screen, right? All our knowledge of 100 odd years as IBM GTS, we've bundled into asset categories, and we've rechristened them into practices. And the 6 practices that are mentioned here across cloud, core enterprise, digital workplace, app data and AI, network and edge, and security and resiliency is how we operate on. What we have also done is created a platform which is called the Kyndryl Bridge, and it's an open platform which allows us to leverage all these service offerings and present to the customer, meet the customer where they are in their digital transformation journey, and help solution our offerings. And it is just not about capability alone. The proof of the pudding is in the fact that the top 75 in the top Fortune 100 organizations, 75% are our customers. What we have on the other side is Kyndryl Vital, which allows the customers to collaborate with us and create solutions for whatever purpose that they need in their business journey. Now, just for a feedback on what is Kyndryl's presence in India, we essentially are 90,000 strong globally, and in India alone, we are 30,000 strong, right? And our business in India is across 2 domains. One is Kyndryl for India, which means that we serve the Indian enterprise, including the public sector, our capabilities and offerings across for Indian customers. And the other is where our innovation centers are housed. They both do innovations and R&D work for the India business, as well as Kyndryl for Global or India for Global, where we develop solution offerings for our global clients. And when we are talking about this, it is important to note that these service offerings are the unique innovations that we brought to the table, and the capabilities and the Fortune 100 reference that I was mentioning to you about is replicated across a multiple host of Indian customers as well, and I will demonstrate to you as how. So very close to the industry that railways operates, travel and transportation. One of the biggest airport terminals, the Bangalore International Airport, Kyndryl is managing the IT infrastructure systems across multiple application subsystems, across the 16 to 20 application subsystems that the Bangalore International Airport has. Kyndryl is managing end-to-end delivery and uptime of those subsystems. In fact, the customer and us have grown in this journey so far together that when the Terminal 2 came for Bangalore International Airport, they onboarded us as the consulting partner and advising partner to create a mission critical network architecture for their new terminal. When NPCI started the revolution for digital payments, they engaged Kyndryl to transition into a modernized architecture. They were struggling for capacity, right? With the whole digital payments boom, the existing capacity that they had was not able to suffice the growth story. So they approached Kyndryl. Kyndryl helped them with migration, sizing, and the whole roadmap of how to migrate to a bigger capacity data center. NSE, as you know, one of the biggest exchanges globally, when they were transitioning to a modernized next generation infrastructure, they again engaged with Kyndryl for automation capabilities, for providing the architectural inputs, and currently we are engaged in assessing their security and resiliency posture as well. When we mention resiliency, Kyndryl is uniquely positioned in terms of the IP that it has globally, which is, we had an acquisition, which is a Make in India product called Synovi. It is a resiliency orchestration product acquired by Kyndryl, and now this Make in India product, Kyndryl takes it to the world. And that is the core technology on which we have our resiliency offering defined for all the banking clients. So when you do a reliable banking transaction, you should know that at the back end, there is a Kyndryl resiliency service offering, which is keeping the transaction alive. Obviously, all of us know about the telco story and how Kyndryl has participated. The top two telecom service providers, two out of the top three, is currently serviced by Kyndryl as the managed services partner. We are the one responsible for keeping the infrastructure and the technology landscape on. Over to you, Ashish.
So I think when we started, you didn't know about Kyndryl. So, and thanks Vikas for this introduction. If you have to just remember two words, just remember one thing. Number one, IT services. Number two, mission critical environments. These are the two things you must remember Kyndryl for. Now, what I want to share in the balance time, which is around 5 to 7 minutes, is to give you an overview of our point of view and the framework that we use to make sure that this mission critical environment is able to deliver the services, whether it is for enterprise, whether it's for customers, whether it is for government services, whether it's for railways. And the key behavior that we are seeing and the key guiding principles which are driving this adoption of the new framework is essentially customer centricity. How do I deliver a better service, a better outcome to my end customer, which sometimes is my internal customer, sometimes is my external customer? How can we be more aligned with business? How can we be more faster? How can I scale more and be faster to the market? This essentially are the guiding principles which are driving this framework which I want to share with you. Now, essentially it is formed of 5 tenets. The first, and some of it is some things we have been doing, but there is a paradigm shift in the approach right from the time we conceive the IT policies to the time we execute it. And let me go in a little more detail and you will see the summary very shortly. The first element is what we're calling as the digital product management. What it means is that rather than taking IT as a cost center, we start thinking IT as supporting a certain product, and therefore the budgeting also happens as a percentage of a certain outcome or the service that you're looking for. The whole mindset changes from a risk-taking mindset to how can I innovate with the speed, how can I fail fast if not succeed fast. So that's what I mean by approach which is digital product management. The second piece is about the digital platforms. How can I take a platform-basis approach which makes me hardware agnostic, which makes me have a developer-ready environment when my developer comes on board, or giving me the ability to spin off the services as my business wants, which could be as high as sometimes many changes within the same day. The third piece is very, very strong enterprise architectures, which make sure that when you are thinking small, you start small, but at least have an architecture which can scale big. when you're consolidating various units, consolidating and talking to the other ecosystem, you have the right reference architecture, and therefore, A, you are able to have better integrations with your ecosystem, and also what I call as a plug and play IT, when you acquire new organizations or do a scalability within your own organizations. The fourth piece is what we call as the modern digital operations, which essentially means investing in thinking about a strong CM framework, because most of this environment, whether it is the public sector environments or the private environments, have got multi-source vendors. Within the same unit, if you take even railways, you'll have 4 or 5 vendors. Different unit of railways will have different vendors, and so on and so forth. How do you bring a common governance, a common services integration between all that, and still drive the outcome and the cost that you're looking for? Fifth, which is the most important thing which most of us ignore, is what we can call a center of excellence. I prefer to call it center of enablement, which acts like a shepherd, which acts like a guide, which acts like an architecture, which acts like a coach, which pushes and pulls, give the right guidance to make all this happen. And this is how all of this look like when you put this together. We'll share this slide with you. Since the paucity of time, I'm moving a little fast, but if somebody wants to have more information, we'll be happy to share that. And this it really is the summary of a modern IT infrastructure that you should look for. Before I sort of leave the stage, I want to share some 3 key takeaways which are very important in terms of the 3 areas I would definitely recommend everybody focuses on. First is start the journey towards a modern delivery by changing the approach from a SLA-based approach to a service continuity-based approach. Don't look at the SLA of a particular technology stack, but look at the service journey, look at the customer journey, and think around that, which will bring in concepts like SRE, DevOps, observability, where you're looking through the whole service path, making the right squads, and therefore giving the right availability, the right experience, the right XLA and not the SLA to your end customers. So this is point number 1. Point 2, always take a platform-based approach in whatever we are doing. Whether so that you have an architecture which can scale, you have an architecture which is easy to use, you have an architecture which can be adapted by the ecosystems. One beautiful platform that we have from Kyndryl on all this, amongst many, is the data and AI platform. And I've just purposely put this because I know all of you are struggling on this area where there are silos of data. You are thinking, how do I get all this together? Because all this is important, but the effort required to get all this together is phenomenal. And this is where our data and AI platform helps to achieve the same outcome at much faster speed with much less efforts. The third point, which is important, and I think we have spoken enough about it, and I want to only highlight one more, is when you're thinking security, resiliency, also think one important parameter, which is recovery. Everybody is thinking about anticipate, protect, and the point is, if something has occurred, how do you recover fast, within minutes, within seconds? This is the point which gets ignored, and this is one of the unique things that we have done in our own framework, and whatever we recommend, we implement, we ensure that the recover part is also taken care, and that's the reason we call it cyber resiliency. We don't call it security, we don't call it resiliency, we call it cyber resiliency. So this is what I have to say, and I'm just in time. My point, we are also putting a lot of this showcase in the 2 booths that we have, and essentially one is the showcase on the observability platform that we have, the second is the showcase on the security and resiliency framework. We'll be happy to show more details. I'm sorry to rush it through a little bit, but the intent was to share the summary and engage with you more if you have interest in any of those things. We are there in the booth. If you want any of our coordinates, we'll be happy to share that. Any of the details you want to go in for, we will be happy to go in more details. Thanks a lot for this opportunity, and thanks for being very patient listeners. I don't think I have time for questions unless the organizers give us some more time, but we can always discuss it offline. We're just there at the booth. So please feel free to contact us. Thank you.